Now we're official. Okay, so
Better.
another edition of Zoom Rock Room, and some of you are new tonight. Thank you for being here for your first time, and hopefully you enjoy and maybe learn a little bit. And if you don't know our co-host Renee Widener over here, and um, Renee, I got hit by my wife this week.
Uh-oh.
I was reading our
Uh-oh.
marriage license, and she said, how come you've been reading the marriage license for the past hour?" I said, "I'm looking for the expiration date."
Aw.
Grown.
And that's when the fight started.
Jerry, just so you know, you took my hosting abilities away, so I can't do anything.
Why'd you do that for?
Well, you left, you ran away, and then when you came back, I didn't have any. You took my power with you.
You
While
got
you're fixing that, I will say it's National Princess Day. And to
oh,
fit with the topic, I don't know if it'll show through on my video. Oh, it's not going to. See,
hang on.
wait.
Do it now.
Oh, it's not showing because of the background blur.
Oh,
Oh, that's a shame. I have antler. I have a deer tiara. I don't know if I can change my background. At some point, I'll play with it, but
where are you at here, Make?
I don't know.
Now you are.
Yes, I can be a princess when I want to be.
You are a princess now. You're a co-host too.
Thank you.
Anything else in
Ah,
geology
there we
going on?
go.
Anything
There,
else?
now you can see them if I crouch
Oh, there you
down.
go.
Yes,
Look at
the
that.
antlers.
Hi there.
I
I
am a
wish
princess.
I wish I had one of those.
I
Uh,
can get you one.
you got anything
Now I
else?
know what to get you for Christmas. Get you
Yeah,
your own tiara.
you have any more Renee Rocks articles around?
There was not a whole lot happening in the geology world, although somebody's claiming to have ended the T-Rex juvenile versus Nano Tyrannus debate, if I got the name right on the Nano Tyrannus. Apparently, all these years they've been saying they were teenage T-Rexes because they were finding these smaller versions of T-Rexes that they couldn't explain, and they finally, based on more or less core samples of limb bones and things, have decided that and looking at the sinus cavities, that there is indeed an all different kind of dinosaur. It's not just a juvenile T-Rex. It's its own thing. So
Huh.
now everybody's out west is going through their collections to determine if they have nano Tyrannus or if they have juvenile T-Rexes.
Oh
Uh,
my.
Apparently that's been going on, that debate's been going on for decades, and they're saying it's solved now.
All right. All right, you ready to do the intro?
I can. Are you pulling up the slides or you want me to?
I'll get it right here for you. And there we go.
Look, it's us. Oh, I need to change that to a picture of me with my tiara. So, welcome to the 156th episode of the Zoom Rock Room with Jerry Jones, your host, and me, Renee Widener, your co-host. It's sponsored by Architecture out in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, who is kind enough to sponsor the Zoom Rock Room so that we can keep bringing it to you after all these years of Jerry by himself, and I guess over a year now with me. So we're very appreciative. You can always send him an email just to say hi or to tell him that you appreciate us. They like hearing from you. That's my cat joining in the show. Let's get your behind out of the camera.
Oh, there you go.
We also have Buttonwood Nature Center, home of the Institute over in Waynesboro or outside of Waynesboro, PA. We have some fun programs coming up this week. If we go to the next slide, I believe. There we go. We have a pumpkin floral arrangement workshop this Friday over there. And they also have a Finding Fall at Buttonwood, Nature's Treasures Adventures, which is intriguing. I like the name of that program. Be interesting to see what they're doing over there. I'm sure they're having fun getting their first year open under their belt. Seeing each new season come through has to be exciting.
Yeah.
And we have Retro Rocks over in Lancaster off of Columbia Avenue. They carry fossils, minerals, gemstones, and all kinds of rocks, and then jewelry, clothing, scents, and soaps. You can listen to music and take some along home with you in the form of CDs and vinyls if you still have a player for those, and all kinds of fun things there. Steve Hess has all that for you to enjoy.
Including these tumbled stones. He has a special on these now. If you were into tumbling rocks, there's a special deal per pound going on for these for the holiday season.
Like some good ones in there too. And you can find them on Facebook, of course.
Yep. Interesting shop.
Intrigued. I'm intrigued by what's on top of the log on the top shelf there. Some kind of wave thing. I was looking at that earlier trying to figure out what it is.
Top of the log.
I might have to go shopping to find out just what that thing is.
That's a bird.
Is it?
Yeah, that's an eagle.
Oh, now I see it. Thanks, Mike. Now that you
Uh,
say that, it is a wing, and that's what's sticking out the other side is the other one. Nice. Well, now I don't have to
And
go. Way
the
to go.
and the beak is pointing down.
Yeah. Yeah. He's gonna eat the troll down there on the shelf. Thank you.
now I don't have to buy anything.
Yeah, I don't have to go shopping now because yeah, no, I'm still going over. Uh, and our Zoom rock schedule coming up for the rest of the year. Tonight we have the Cornwall Iron Mines, which I'm very excited. I don't know if Jerry remembers it a few months ago now, I was asking if he had ever heard of apple nuts. So I kept coming across it in the Marianne Furnace journals from the 1700s as something that they were casting. And Jeri and no one else that I talked to knew what it was. And I've been putting feelers out and I finally found out it's an actually called an apple mill nut with something to do with the pressing of fruits. So I don't know exactly what it looked like yet, but I'm getting closer to figuring the mystery term out. So
Huh.
yay for cracking apple nuts, I guess. And December 2nd, we have the Waterfalls of Pennsylvania with Sim Suter. And on the 16th, we have our annual Christmas party, which is always fun.
And we
Not
just
sure what,
added today, Andre Weltman from the Pine Grove State Park is going to be joining us in February. Uh, talk about iron mining and I forget what the title is. That's why it's so fresh. But it's iron mining and within Pine Grove State Park and Michaux State Forest.
if I know Andre, he'll talk about a little bit of everything.
He's a
Anything having to do with furnaces, he's got it.
he's a great resource. Yes.
They actually just mapped the bottom of one of their iron pits up there. It's 30 feet deep, full of water, and they sent down an underwater mapping device to see what the bottom looked like, which was kind of fun.
Huh.
The
Okay.
things I learned from my son now. And coming up at Tom Smith's place over in Shippensburg, he's having a mineral rock and fossil yard sale, garage sale, because it'll probably be a little cold in December, I would imagine. If you can make it over that way, December 5th or 6th, or if you want to set up an appointment with him, he'll be there off of East Earl Street on Roger Avenue. Oh, coming up at Cador's, if you're a private landowner and want to learn more about managing your land, we just had the first in a three-part series by one of our great volunteers. She did a basic intro to forest health and Coming up next Saturday, we're going to be diving a little deeper. We'll be talking about the invasive plants that can take over your woodlands and how to manage them. And then the last one is overall forest health and how our changing climates changing how we need to manage our forests a little bit.
And we can't start this time of year out without reminding you to come to Rocky Ridge County Park in York to Christmas Magic. A million lights, half-mile long walking trail. There are five enclosed there are pavilions that are open-sided now, uh, with displays and decorations in, and it's a great family tradition now. You do need tickets to get in before a time, so you can go to the York County Parks website, or actually it's Christmas Magic York is the website. Purchase your online tickets. And then you pick a night and preferred time, and tickets will give you as close to the time as you want to go on that particular night. So it
Jerry,
gets
what happens if it pours, raining? You still have to use that ticket.
what's that? I didn't.
What
Yes, what
happens if it absolutely pours, raining? Do you still
Oh
have to use your ticket?
no, they will. The park staff will reassign you another date, or if you need a refund, they'll also do that. So they do have the system worked out because we do close because of the inclement weather. The lights don't stay on when we have ground fault interrupters throughout the park to shut the lights off when they get wet to keep people from getting shocked. So bad nights we do close down. So we hope that doesn't happen too much. But it's opens the Black Friday and goes right through December 30th. Always closed Christmas Eve and Christmas night, the 24th and 25th. But open every other night. Uh, you can check it out. As I said, everything's on ChristmasMagicYork.com. And I'll just remind you about this because we have some Yorkers in the area that might want to go. York County Storytellers Night coming up on December 11th. This is like the fifth annual Storytellers Night. Second year it's being held at the new York County History Center in York. And there's six presenters who will be doing, we've been now told that we're doing 7-minute programs. Uh, we have two topics that we have to talk about within 7 minutes to get everybody through and you out in a decent hour. So that's going to happen on December 11th, Thursday night. And you can go to the YorkHistoryCenter.org website. If you click on tickets and then go down to the calendar to December and click on December 11th, all the information's there. $10 for adults. Students 6 to 18 are free. And I'll be talking about my two subjects are Marianne Furnace and the first geological mapping in the county. So we're going to be, their subjects are about the last 250 years as we're
Oh,
prepared
speaking
for
of
that.
geologic mapping, Jerry, USGS just put out a brand new interactive map online that's the geology of the country. So you can
Oh,
actually, they took hundreds of surveys from each state and compiled them all together. So there's a new geologic map for the US, which is kind of cool.
okay.
Sorry.
No, thank you. I'll check it out. So, okay. We'll get that out of the way for our intro. Hey, what do you get when a corn cob is run over by a truck? Creamed corn. So I'm just warning you, I have a pile of jokes here that I have a new writer. So we're all stocked up for a while right now. Okay. Renee, you going to introduce the speaker or should I do that?
The wonderful, the infamous, the all-knowing Wizard of Jones, I guess.
Well, you're sticking your neck out when you say all knowing.
Well, sometimes you think you are.
Then I run into you.
Mm.
I gotta put my other glasses on for a minute here. Okay. I know you're here not to hear jokes. You're here to learn a little bit. So yeah, we're going to learn. And I actually did this program last month for Lancaster County Fossil Mineral Club. That's where I got the idea to why not just put it into a Zoom rock room since we have a little bit of downtime with getting uh, special presenters in here at this time because getting up to the holidays and the end of the semesters and all that. So I'm going to talk about the history and mineralogy of the Cornwall iron mine. And we actually a new person in the room tonight. His relative was a employee at Cornwall Iron Mine. I've learned when I signed in. So it's a really interesting story. And if you've never been to Cornwall to see the landscape, or of course, more importantly, the furnace like Renee was talking about recently, one of the greatest iron mines, the oldest operated continuously in the New World. Been mined for more than 2 centuries and is still the greatest iron ore deposit east of the Lake Superior. That is true, folks. The greatest iron ore deposit right here in Pennsylvania, in Lebanon County, only an hour and 15 minutes from where we are located tonight. So there's a neat little picture of a blast going off. Now let me explain to you why the Cornwall Iron Mine is where it is. Simple geology fact here, and on the map, the red here in the middle is a igneous rock called diabase that had been magma roughly 200 to 160 million years ago. And this magma came up through cracks in the Earth's crust. And the rocks that are down here, the dark green bands and light green bands are rocks that are basically Triassic in age, 200 million year old Triassic rocks. So they're just a little bit older than the diabase. And the rocks north of the diabase up in here are older limestones. The magma came up through, it solidified into a rock, probably 3 to 4 miles beneath the crust. Was not ever lava that we know of in this area. And the chemical reaction between the diabase, I should say that actually the magma and the chemical reaction with the surrounding limestone created this super huge iron deposit in the form of magnetite. So there's a cross section of what happened. Again, the diabase is the youngest rock, 190 to 160 million years old. These rocks over here are 200. And these rocks, the older rocks, are Cambrian and Ordovician in age, which is 500 to 515, 510 million to 450 million years old. So if we're right along here, you see that we have ore right here. That's where the iron ore was formed. And that's what drew very early people to the area. Here's a schematic drawing. Again, diabase, there's the magnetite ore right there. The big open pit of Cornwall was laid down right there. And of course, getting into the magnetite ore. And a lot of this is credited to a young Peter Grubb. the Grubb family was huge in iron production, iron furnaces, in the early mid 1700s. Peter went to Cornwall, discovered three hills. Big Hill was one of them, Marshy Hill, and then there's a second hill where he found the magnetite basically on the ground. And he wanted to develop a iron mine there because of the content of the magnetite. And he named it after, of course, the Cornwall, England, where his dad actually was living at the time of this big discovery. So in 1742, he built the first furnace at Cornwall. Peter died in 1754. He gave the operations to his sons, Curtis and Peter II. And then in 1776, of course, the mutations and cannons were produced for the Revolutionary War, and so forth and so on. In 1864, the Cornwall Ore Bank Company was formed. The last casting at the Grubb furnace happened in 1883. And actually, in 1883, they started to use steam drills and dynamite. Dynamite was just now commercially starting to be used. Early 1880s, and before that, it was black powder. Dynamite was much more easier to use and more powerful. William Coleman got involved in 1786. William bought 1/6 of the interest of Cornwall from the Grubb family, and then the Cornwall Ore Company. 1798, he purchased the rest of the interest out there available. He died in 1825, giving his interest to his four sons. So the Grubb-Coleman relationship. Again, Coleman was a huge name in particularly iron furnaces. Lancaster County is full of Coleman-named furnaces and actually iron mines. Early mining with the pick and shovel happened as early as 1848. 776,000 tons of ore had been taken out from Cornwall from its beginning. So even in the very early days when they were using only picks and shovels, as you see here, wheelbarrows lined up, picks and shovels, no railroad, so to speak, at this point yet. These workers were getting maybe paid 25 cents a week. The boss man was getting like 35 cents a week. Around in 1850, actually, Dr. Henry Rogers, in 1850, did the first geologic survey of Pennsylvania. It's a 3-volumed book, a set of books. If you ever can get your hands on 1, 2, or 3, all 3 volumes, it is worth quite a bit of money. I do have 2 of the 3 volumes. Renee can buy me the 3rd volume for my Christmas present. So he did recognize the Cornwall iron mine in his books, in his volumes, being potentially very important. And here's his geological map that he drew. Okay, in 1855, showing the 3 hills where the iron ore was with the diabase, and where some of the open pits were being developed. In the 1870s, the railroad began to develop, and the Cornwall folks trying to make it as easy for the miners as possible. So they were running track from point A to point B, point A to point C, point A to point D, sort of thing. The Big Hill, which is still present today, that's what it looked like in 1870. The big open pit. You see all the railroad tracks, even the ones outside the pit leading to furnaces, later on to the plant that separated the ores. And you're going to find out there's more than just iron ore involved here. 1873 map of the Cornwall ore bank. Here's the grassy hill, middle hill, and the big hill. And these are all the workings. And even I said the railroad is showing up on these maps. We love to see old maps and just be able to stand there on site and say, well, this is where that track ran, or it still runs today, sort of thing. But you see all the workings. So again, 1873, the Cornwall has already now been open for since 1732. So basically 150 years already in the books for Cornwall at that point, and that sounds like a long time ago. Coleman family owned the only remaining furnace today that's now a historical site. It was a coal blast charcoal furnace, 1742 to 1883, and it was donated to the state in 1932 to become a historical structure, historical site. They give wonderful tours, and you can actually see what the forge and foundry atmosphere was all about. There were, of course, a few other furnaces around Cornwall. When you have such a large iron deposit as you had at Cornwall, more than one enterprise is going to benefit from such a resource. So this is the bird, either depends on when it was written, BIRD or BURD, Coleman furnace. 1873 to 1914. This is no longer standing. So going on later into the history of Cornwall. 1883, the mineral interests were starting to grow. Rock hounders, professional mineralogists, and even the miners were recognizing that some great mineral specimens were being gathered as they were going deeper and deeper into the crust of the earth. The Pennsylvania Steel Company took over the holdings in 1883 of the Cornwall Ore Bank Company. 1905, the big move was the Pennsylvania Steel built the concentrator at its Lebanon furnace. Bethlehem Steel purchases Pennsylvania Steel in 1916. Again, a huge move there for ownership and became production. 1919, the second ore body was found 150 feet deep. And in 1940 alone, 358,000 tons of ore removed. In that year, 358,000. Ore depleted in the open pit in 1953. And in 1973 to 74, the waste dumps were being reprocessed with some pretty fine mineral specimens showing up. And they were actually the last hurrah of Cornwall was that the company was digging in the dumps looking for iron ore that was still on the valuable end, since because it's 1972, as you're going to find out. Something happened in 72 that shut down Cornwall Iron Mine. Okay, so some pictures in this time frame. 1905, the open pit was being started. There's the big hill that people still refer to as, and it was one of the best collecting sites at Cornwall for many, many years. It's all now private property and owned by the Cornwall Limited Company. Skip hoisting incline was installed in 1910. This is where the ore was hauled up. and they actually put on the train and hauled to the separator or crushers. You can see the tracks in the bottom here, being like a junction. So installing this incline actually took away the trains having to be in the pit. It's what really was happening. Steam power, 1920 to 30s, became a dominant feature within Cornwall. Steam powered steam shovels. Again, you see the railroad tracks running here in the bottom of the big pit. Each one of these levels was about 50 feet vertical. Give you an idea for scale. First underground shaft started in 1921. I find it amusing that, what happened to shaft number 1 and 2. They started with number 3. So anyway, this is a great picture of the miners. And they went underground to get into the magnetite ore. Stope number 4 opened in 1926, only 5 years after the number 3 opened. Again, look how the miners had to ride down into the mine on these cars. Mine shafts turned out to be very, very deep. I'll show you a cross-section map here soon. So actually it turned into a underground mine, 1921, 1926, for the most part. So here's a cross-sectional view. Part of the open pit had a cave-in up here. And here's this is actually showing shafts 4 and 5 coming down, and you see what they call the 250-foot level, 300-foot. Here's the 400-foot haulage level, 450, and the 500-foot level. They were down at least 500 feet, following the magnetite body, the ore body. Very little junk rock coming out of the shafts because they were pretty much mining within the iron ore body itself. One hazard they had with underground mining they weren't quite maybe ready for were mudslides and, of course, rock falls. So here's an example of a worker standing by a mudslide that clogged up one of their levels off the main shaft. Here's a photo I just got this week from Vince, who's actually with us tonight. He knows a lot about the history of Cornwall in the area. Believed to be the 1930s, where they're steam shoveling into the ore body with this old steam shovel. Again, like I said, we like old pictures and see what the old equipment had looked like. Another one, 1949. Look at these dump trucks being able to dump sideways into the crusher. So these trucks were hauling material up out of the open pit, mostly the iron ore, and going into the crusher, starting the process. 1955, this is a map, topographical map. Obviously, this is the big pit right here. This over here was called the old quarry, which was way before the big pit was developed. Here's the Cornwall furnace that still is standing today, the historical one. And Miners Village, I'll show you a picture of Miners Village, but that is still there, still being lived in. It's kind of worth a trip just to go to Cornwall to see Miners Village. It's, as you'll see in the picture I'll show you. And notice that there's a place called Anthracite, Cornwall Center, Coleman Village on the west side of the big pit. Again, you see You see the hills, the grassy hill, the big hill, second hill out here. Eventually, Bethlehem Steel built the processing plant at 1 Cumberland Street in Lebanon, where all the ore was actually being taken and processed because, as I said, Bethlehem Steel discovered, particularly in the 1940s, that there were some elements within the magnetite and actually the mineral called chalcopyrite, as in silver, gold, and cobalt, which was economically valuable. So they developed here in the processing plant techniques to take the chalcopyrite, which is iron, copper, and sulfur, and they were able to extract the silver, gold, and cobalt, and sell that to interested companies. The gold, I know, went to Sunbury, Ontario, Canada. And the gold itself purchased paid for all the operational expenses of the iron. So that was pure profit right there. 1972. Bethlehem Steel was trying to figure out a way to tell the employees that iron just isn't worth anything anymore. And we need to close this operation down. It's not making any money any longer. And they didn't really know how to tell the employees the bad news. So Mother Nature took it in her own hand, and we had Hurricane Agnes come through the area, which turned the open pit into Niagara Falls. Flooded all the shafts, made a lake out of the big pit, and it made the decision not to reopen the Cornwall very easy for Bethlehem Steel. Wasn't certainly worth the price of dewatering it for the iron ore, because of the value of iron had dropped so much. So that was the end of the underground, of the mining, other than off the dumps in 73 and 74, as I told you earlier. So here they are backfilling the open pit. And here they're actually putting concrete over the stope number 4 entrance. So if you go to Cornwall today looking for where particularly the slope 4 adit or mine shaft was, you will not. You can stand on the concrete, but you don't know it's really right there unless you have a map. So 1932 to 1973. What's that? 236 years of operation. 236 years. Incredible. Took out a total of 106 million tons of iron ore. 67,000 ounces of gold. 443,000 ounces of silver. Could not find a figure on cobalt, but it for a good while was the only cobalt resource in North America. And in the 1940s and 50s, cobalt was actually just starting to be used in cancer treatment. So it was a big draw. All medical centers that dealt with the cancer, and the manufacturers of the medicines wanted cobalt. So this is actually a view looking down the shaft before Hurricane Agnes hit. Here's what Miner Village looks like. You don't want to come home drunk any night and try to find your house. They all look the same. As I said, they are still lived in today. It's also known as the Bird Coleman Village. little hard to see the Google view here, but today here's the open pit. Nothing but a big lake. The old quarry is over here. Again, Miners Village is in this area. Cornwall Furnace historical site is right there. And there's actually development going on around Cornwall. As I said, most of this property where my mouse is going around is owned by Cornwall Limited Partnership. So it's well posted, no trespassing. I know mineral clubs had earlier arranged for field trips, particularly into the big hill here. They have now stopped. No collecting at all on the property as far as I know. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the minerals. Not many of you are mineral collectors in the room, but they're pretty. And there are actually some outstanding minerals that are featured in major museums. If you go to the Smithsonian in DC, and you might be looking through their mineral cases, you might see some specimens labeled Cornwall, Pennsylvania. Analcime is a zeolite mineral, but analcime, there's some very fine crystals of analcime found in the history of mineral collecting there. Frederick Getz, he wrote the first Mineralogy of Pennsylvania report, I believe in 1880, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, he listed a number of minerals from Cornwall, the huge variety of minerals that are listed. I think today, when we prepared this presentation, we listed all the minerals I actually handed out to the members there on paper because there's just too many to put within PowerPoint. I think there's 75 minerals that have been documented and verified from Cornwall. Reverend George Rakeshaw, he was like the first micromineralogist, person that collects specimens that only have microcrystals. You need a microscope to see them. They're very well formed crystals. Oftentimes you'll see associated minerals with the main mineral. But Reverend Rakeshaw was the first micromineralogist to get into studying Cornwall, and wrote a report. One of the best known mineral collectors in all time in Pennsylvania, Samuel Gordon. He wrote the Mineralogy of Pennsylvania book in 1922, where he did a very good documentation of minerals and sites from every county in Pennsylvania. Director of the Philadelphia Academy of Natural Sciences. And he came to Cornwall, of course, a number of times. Here's a picture of Samuel sleeping, getting a nap after his journey on the train to Cornwall. Here's one of his pictures that he did take around 1920. Here's the elevator, as I told you earlier. Davis Lapham, a more recent mineralogist, he was with the Pennsylvania Geologic Survey. He and another buddy of his really loved Cornwall. And in fact, Davis Lapham wrote a big report that you'll see a reference to in just a little bit. So Davis is actually the one holding the specimen. They're working on a big pocket of a mineral called stilbite, found in the down in the shaft on the floor. Some of these specimens are still around, or as I said, you may see them in a museum collection. Lehighton Donnelly on the left. Uh, he uh, he worked for Bethlehem Steel as a foreman, and he became a Cornwall iron mine mineral collector. Why not, right? You're the foreman. You get to see this stuff first. And he actually lived in Miners Village. If you ever went to Cornwall to collect minerals, like I remember one time I was there with a group before 1970. We had to go to Mr. Donnelly's house, see his collection, because he had a fabulous collection, great crystals, and I really don't know what's happened to his collection. Um, he and his wife have passed on, so I haven't tracked down what happened to the Donnelly collection. This gentleman, Milan Lipinski, uh, he worked at the Bethlehem Steel mines also. Again, he acquired a large number of specimens from just working at Cornwall. And actually, his collection is on display at the Lebanon Historical Society in downtown Lebanon. We actually appraised his collection maybe 10 years ago now, after the collection was given to the museum. Two geologists from the Pennsylvania Geologic Survey went through the collection and made sure the identifications were correct on the specimens, but they could not appraise the value of it. So they referred Lebanon Historical Society to me, and I said we went over and looked at his collection, tremendous collection, on public display. If you ever go to Lebanon, check out the hours for the Lebanon Historical Society. It's on the first floor of the museum. Last that I knew. So there you are. He was the last mine superintendent. He was there at the bitter end. His wife is still living, by the way, I understand. So, all right. A garnet called andradite garnet. Garnet specimen. They're very common. If you ever have a chance to go to the Big Hill or surrounding, garnet is one of the most common minerals that you're going to find. It forms with this environment. Here's another one. The different crystal faces of a garnet. 8-sided crystals. Andradite garnet is an iron garnet, so it's a reddish brown, not really gem quality. Pyrite crystals, look at this. Beautiful pyrite crystal. Pyrite, again, is a pretty common mineral if you have a chance to collect there. Here's the stilbite and pyrite. There was a sprinkling of pyrites on these stilbite crystals. These, if they were fresh, they look like little sheaves of hay wrapped together. Here's another one. These are actually the stilbite crystals, fresher up here in the top part of the specimen. Probably taken out of that stilbite pocket that I showed you that was found inside the one shaft. Here's a hydropropylite, means it has water in it. Kind of a rare mineral found at Cornwall. One of the newer minerals that has been added to the Cornwall inventory was rutile. I believe rutile was actually discovered at Cornwall in 1987, I believe it was. And I say at Cornwall, meant it was actually already on mineral specimens, and somebody went through their collection or through their Cornwall specimens and found these uh, reddish orange crystals. Like, what's those? I didn't see those before. Turned out to be a rutile, which is there's only 4 locations in the world for. Um, 3 are in North America, and then the 4th one is actually in South Africa. Rutile was actually named from the copper mines in Arizona. I believe this next one's really sensational. Yeah, look at that. Aren't those beautiful crystals of rutile? So it's a kind of pretty rare mineral worldwide, but now on the list of Cornwall specimens. So anybody has any Cornwall stuff hiding in your basement or in your garage, you might want to take a second look. Azurite, copper mineral. Copper's present there. And in fact, they found native copper in Cornwall. Not enough to make it economically valuable, but the copper mineralization. Here's an analcime with the naturalite. Naturalite is the hair crystals on top of the analcime. Naturalite, another zeolite mineral. We call it secondary mineral, formed by the weathering of minerals and the addition of water, like groundwater. A prophyllite with calcite. The white's the prophyllite, calcite's the gold crystals. Here's a piece of native copper found at Cornwall. Not real common, particularly in the days of 70s and 80s, when in the early 90s, when you could collect on the property. You didn't find any native copper. This pretty much came right out of the mines. Naturalite. Okay, here's these are nice balls of naturalite. Just pretty crystals. Makes me hungry for marshmallows. Renee, get the fire started. Okay. Cuprite is a secondary mineral of copper weathering. So cuprite's the brighter red. Magnetite, that's the iron ore, being the black. So there's a chance that there was some native copper within this specimen that did weather into cuprite. Magnetite crystals, triangular. Actually, the crystals are isometric or cubic, but they're triangular shaped. Here's a unique appearance of magnetite in these globular balls. Malachite, another copper mineral. This looks like an Arizona malachite. If I knew that wasn't from Cornwall, I would tell you it probably came from Arizona. But nope, Cornwall. And certainly one collected during the mining operation. Malachite and chrysocolla, 2 copper minerals again. I believe they're laying on stilbite. The lighter color is stilbite. The bluish green is the chrysocolla, and the green is malachite. Malachite and cuprite, there's another secondary copper. Beautiful specimens. That's the only reason I'm showing them to you. All right. So if you want to read up on Cornwall at all, here's Davis Lapham. I showed you his picture collecting the stilbite. He and Carlin Gray did this classical report, The Guide to the Geology of Cornwall. It is online at the Pennsylvania Geologic Survey. I believe that's report 39. If you want to read it, you can download it. And here's Davis Lapham's classic book, and again, Carlin Gray, The Geology and Origin of the Triassic Magnetite Deposit. And also talked about the chemistry of the diabase. Again, the Pennsylvania Geological Survey publication, 56, M56, written in 72. Ironically, the year that Hurricane Agnes closed down Cornwall. Very thorough report. There's probably more stuff in there that you want to know, but that's a classic report. And finally, a joint field trip between the Pennsylvania chapter of the Friends of Mineralogy and the Mineralogical Society of Pennsylvania in 1979. That was officially the last field trip onto the property. Bethlehem Still, in all of its years, by the way, was very nice to mineral collectors. Any club that wanted to go collect on the big hill, Bethlehem Still allowed that. They were always open for collecting. So a lot different today. So there's actually a booklet. This is the front cover of that joint field trip. Okay, well, before I do stop, I just want to bring to your attention Arthur Spencer. In 1871 to 1964, he did a little special report on what they call the magnetite deposits of the Cornwall type in Pennsylvania. So now you got to remember, what did I show you in the first couple of slides? How the iron ore was formed. Remember the diabase intrusion up through the rock and the heat of the magma combining with the chemistry of the surrounding rock formed this large iron deposit. Well, Mr. Spencer started to realize that several other localities within southeast Pennsylvania had the identical geology as Cornwall. So he called them the Cornwall type of the deposit. So in my background, also, this is the slide in my background tonight. Here's the diabase, which was magma. Here's the limestone, and there's the magnetite deposit. That's a Cornwall type deposit. So hey, I don't know if anybody knows your southeast Pennsylvania really well, geology-wise, but where are the other Cornwall type deposits? Well, Cornwall is located, as I mentioned, in the Mesozoic Basin up here in Lebanon County, right against the older rock, which is on this map, the orange. The red is the diabase, the green is the Triassic rocks. Here's the four other major Cornwall type deposits. I should say three, really. Boyertown in Bucks County, French Creek in Chester County, and Dillsburg in York County. The iron ore was formed the same way as in Cornwall. So if you go to if you're into mineral collecting, you go to Boyertown, French Creek, you might find similar minerals. Although they are Cornwall type deposit, they do have a slightly different geology. Chalcopyrite, very common at French Creek. French Creek is really no more. It's now a housing development. At Dillsburg, which I know very well because I spent a lot of years there studying Dillsburg. Dillsburg actually had two diabase intrusions, one on the top and one down below it, and in between was the iron ore. So that played a role in what minerals were formed. There are some minerals found at Dillsburg that have not been found at Cornwall for that reason. So anyway, I just wanted you to be, brought up to that attention that there are other Cornwall type deposits, and really since Arthur Spencer did a report, Cornwall type deposits have really extended outside of our country, around the world. They have been found. So that's the end of the Cornwall deal. I hope you might have learned a little bit, and understand just how important of a resource it really was. So anybody have any questions or whatever?
We do have some questions in the chat. So first, Paul Pookie
Oh,
shared that the geology of Pennsylvania is available for free download on Google Books.
okay.
And Dave shared about Cornwall Furnace having their website having amazing videos all about the area and the history. And yeah, I've been there to the website and it does have some great stuff there. Deb did ask, what was the appraisal value of the Lipinski's collection? You said they had it
Oh.
appraised, but you didn't tell us how much it was worth. Wait, I know how much you need to save for your Christmas present because my list is growing tonight, Jerry.
Um, yeah, somebody asked me that in Lancaster the other week. I believe I believe we came up with, if I remember right, it's on my computer here, but I believe it was around $16,000 for the, I forget how many specimens he had. He had some phenomenal stuff. A lot of it was actually weathered uh, specimens, so it wasn't prime A stuff, which took the value down. But that's a good question.
So I actually had a question as well.
Uh,
And
what,
you're like, oh no.
my marshmallows or what?
So you said that the in the 1800s they started processing Bethlehem Steel started processing gold, silver, and cobalt out of the magnetite. So prior to that, I would assume that they would feed that into the furnace,
Right.
not knowing that the gold, silver, and cobalt were in there. Would that then be in the slag that came out of the furnace?
Oh yeah.
And is that something that can be, since cobalt's kind of a finite resource and medicinally important, that's something they could look at potentially pulling the cobalt back out of the slag?
Probably not today value.
Okay.
Uh, and it's probably the cobalt within the slag is probably half destroyed
Okay.
because of the heat.
Would the
Yeah.
heat have destroyed the gold and silver as well, or
Right. Yeah.
okay?
So yeah, it's just unfortunately, like I said, Bethlehem still didn't discover any of that until into the 1940s. And but like I said, the amount of gold that they sold to Sunbury, Ontario, Canada, paid for all their operational expenses.
Well,
Which
makes you wonder how much gold was in there that went into the furnaces over the years. Then, if they didn't notice it,
right, right.
it would have been small amounts, I would assume, but that would add up over 200 years. So, kind
It,
of interesting.
there's a figure in the report of how many ounces per, how much gold per ounce of chalcopyrite, what with gold. It was a small
Yeah.
amount, but it added up. I'm just reading
Well,
Deb here about iron must be prevalent in Lancaster County. Yeah, it certainly was. Uh, you had other iron mines, not in the neighborhood of Cornwall, but other iron mines within Lebanon County. So yeah.
Hey Jerry, if you're interested, I don't have the samples. I have them loaned out right now, but I have a photo of the two samples that I collected there many years ago. We had a conference in that area and went over there and saw the mines, and we were allowed to collect.
Oh,
You want me to share? You want to share? I'll put the picture up. I said another geologist friend has some of my samples right now. He was doing a program with.
yep, you can do that.
Okay.
I think I was only there 3 or 4 times because I went to college in '73, basically when Cornwall shut down.
Trying to see here once. I'm trying to get to the photos. Yeah, hold on.
If you're in the panning for gold, I mean, you could go to Cornwall area and find yourself a creek. You may have gold in, but there actually has never been a piece of gold found at Cornwall Iron Mine. It's all within the chalcopyrite as an element.
There's that showing.
No, not yet.
Hold on. Oh, here we go. Now we got it.
Now you're cooking. Oh,
Yeah, these are the two samples I got many years ago, back in the 90s. The one on the left contains serpentine,
serpentine, right?
and the one on the right, I have it set up for kids' experiment. I actually have a compass that the kids can pass by it, and the compass moves with it. It shows it's magnetic.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. Serpentine was actually a pretty common mineral.
Yeah,
Also there, I didn't show you any pictures because there's not really any cool crystals of serpentine. Thanks for sharing, Paul.
sure. I'm trying to turn it off now. Hold on a second here. Trying to turn off share now.
So, okay, any other questions?
Being that you have the picture in your background that's got the limestone and the magnetite right on top of each other,
Yep.
which are two of the three things that you need for an iron furnace. Cat. Was that common to have the ore right at the same site as limestone, or is it just because of the way that that magma
Yeah,
changed
it's right
things?
on the contact between the diabase and the limestone where the two interacted.
Hmm.
Magma came up, limestone, and the heat of the magma baked the limestone chemical reaction, formed the magnetite.
So you don't often see them in the same quarry.
Uh, no,
Okay.
yeah, you don't. But like I said, since Spencer wrote the report, there's been Cornwall type deposits now found, just not in southeast Pennsylvania, but all over the world.
Yeah,
Any
Green,
diabase intrusion.
at Greenwood furnace, the hematite was found in sandstone because it was uh, sedimentary over across the mountain in Big Valley, which was a limestone. The limonite was decomposed out of the limestone, so they did occur together in Big
Right,
Valley, but not in Stone Valley. In
right.
Central Pennsylvania, the geology of the valleys, every other valley is of the same geology due to the folding and weathering. The Greenwood's in a clay shale sandstone. Nittany Valley on the north side and Big Valley on the south side are your limestone valleys.
Diabase only occurs in southeast Pennsylvania, in Adams, York, Lancaster, Lebanon, Chester, Bucks County. There we go to Gettysburg Battlefield, Devil's Den, Little Round Top. That's diabase. That's the rock. As a matter of fact, if you stop at Lee's headquarters on Route 30 and you walk up behind Lee's headquarters building and can overlook the railroad cut, it's now actually covered with with man-made rock wall, but you could see where diabase hit the sandstone and shale there and baked the rock. There's no iron deposit there because it was not a big diabase intrusion, but it did bake the rock into a metamorphic rock. But anyway,
In northwestern Pennsylvania, Clarion County, Armstrong County, Butler County, you get a lot of siderite iron ore in association with the Vanport limestone. And out there, you actually have a trifecta for iron making because you're going to have the coal often on the same property. And so you can get all three ingredients you need to make pig iron um, out there.
okay. Thanks for that information. The brownstones that are made of the homes in Lebanon, Cornwall area, that's that Triassic sandstone known as brownstone. Uh, Again, that's that Triassic rock that the diabase came up through. Very commonly used building stone wherever you have the Mesozoic basin in those southeast counties that I mentioned earlier. Every county had a number of brownstone quarries, and farmhouses were built, and mills. Some of the mills were brownstone buildings. Yep, very durable, good rock. So, all right. So my new joke writer wanted me to use this tonight. A snail who was tired of being slow went and bought a sports car with a big S painted on each side. Whenever someone saw him zooming past, they would say, "Hey, look at that escargot."
That was terrible.
Thank you. Don't applaud, just throw the money. All right. All right. That was fun. So anyway, yeah, never been to Cornwall. It's worth a day trip to go there and tour the furnace. Make sure you go when the furnace is open, by the way. I think they are closed Mondays, right, Renee?
I have no idea. We actually had a private tour when I went out, so
Yeah, you would.
yeah, environmental educators, we get the fun stuff.
So anyway, yeah. Big pit's kind of hard to see without trespassing. We don't encourage you to do that. One more here. I'm just reading Chuck. Chuck found a death certificate September 7th, 1912 for his ancestor that states cause of death was injured in the Cornwall ore bank while blasting. Oh my.
That's rough.
Yeah. Sorry for your loss in 1912. Okay. So yeah, mining was very dangerous.
Still is.
Still is, yeah.
They just had miners caught somewhere again last week, if I remember, or if I read right.
Yeah, I thought I heard something about that, but I forget where it was.
I don't recall off the top of my head.
So
It
okay.
flooded on them. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna be back talking about waterfalls first Tuesday of December. I've heard that's an excellent program, and Mr. Sutter never did a Zoom program before, so he's gonna be doing his first Zoom program for us. But hopefully you enjoyed the reading that we sent out to you with the invite. And again, a reminder, anybody new in here, if you want to see tonight's program or past programs, they are pretty much all on our website, jonesgeo.us, under the Zoom Rock Room. And this one will be online in about an hour. They've been actually processing pretty fast for me. So appreciate everybody being here. And we're getting ready for our holiday season. In fact, we're not going to see you until after Thanksgiving. So everybody behave yourself on Thanksgiving and don't eat the turkey. Just go buy chicken. Save the turkeys. But have a great holiday with whatever you have planned to do. And we'll see how you did when we see you in December. Renee, go ahead. You want to say something?
But before I forget, it's Mickey Mouse's birthday. And what was Mickey Mouse's favorite game? Hide and squeak.
Oh, oh no.
I definitely have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone enjoys it and gets to spend it with family and friends and loved ones. And we'll see you
You're
in
catching
December.
Jerry. You're catching Jerry's bad joke disease.
Oh, I know. I've been terrorizing him with it.
Do I have
Good
gray
night.
hair yet? Not yet, huh?
He
All right,
he needs somebody to irritate him other than his wife, you know. It's a tough job.
I think I'm
It
going to
gives
end
her
this. I think I'm going to end this about right now. Okay. We'll be seeing y'all. We love y'all. Okay, behave yourself.
relief.
Happy Thanksgiving,
All right.
everybody.
We'll see ya.
Take care.